During World War I, Denmark's intelligence really begins to take shape. During this conflict, Danish intelligence was mostly just military intel on warring countries. The Danish opted to stay neutral during this war but utilized the collection of intelligence and intelligence operations in case they were forced to enter the war. Most of these operations were centered around the various embassies in Denmark. As a result, larger powers such as the UK and France utilized Denmark's strategic position to gain intelligence on Germany. We also see Denmark utilize intelligence operations on collection to prevent and warn of any potential German invasion. For example, Denmark cut telephone connections that connected with Germany in order to prevent surveillance. Before the war, Denmark established the Danish Security and Intelligence Service, also known as PET, as a sign of Denmark beginning to utilize intelligence services. During World War II, Denmark became an active participant in the conflict as they were invaded by German forces. The country utilized intelligence to help get the majority of its Jewish population out of the country. We also see that Denmark had an active and strong resistance against the Germans, which utilized intelligence collection and operations in an attempt to help liberate their country from occupation. The German occupation served as one of the main reasons for the establishment of a permanent intelligence service. Following World War II, the foundations of the intelligence service that we know today first begin to be established. Even though the early days of Danish intelligence after World War II was largely defined by internal leadership conflicts, during this time period, Denmark became close allies with the UK and US intelligence services. Denmark had a mostly inactive role during the Cold War, despite being in NATO, as their mission was mostly reduced to lie-in-wait position until they were needed. However, we did see Denmark's intelligence service conduct more domestic operations. For example, there was spying conducted against left-wing parties, with them undertaking a CIA-sponsored propaganda program in 1952 and the planting of listening devices in the headquarters of the Danish Communist Party. We however saw relations between the public and intelligence services deteriorate during this period as they were known to have information on the citizens of Denmark. Alongside this, in 1968 a huge scandal emerged where the newly created Danish Defence Intelligence Service, also known as the FE, was caught conducting sit-in ops against diplomatic envoys, which hurt its credibility. However, all of this did change during the closing years of the Cold War with the establishment of a parliamentary intel committee which created a form of oversight over the intelligence community. Following the Cold War era, there were no significant changes in how the intelligence community in Denmark is structured. We however did see the FE fit into its new post-Cold War role better than PET does. The FE deals with foreign intelligence, which has proven to be more relevant in the post-Cold War era. Since the Cold War came to an end, there was less paranoia and less need to gather intelligence domestically, which forced PET to switch gears to better fit the current world. The intelligence community in Denmark arranges itself into two different organizations. This also known as the FE and CIS, also known as PET. FE falls under the Defense Department's jurisdiction and has an executive position. The FE specializes in collection and operation, analysis, development, and resources and is the center for cybersecurity. They are most similar to the CIA. PET falls under the Justice Department's jurisdiction and is integrated with the Danish police. PET is specialized in dealing with counter-terrorism efforts and has a security department that provides operational support. Each of these agencies answers to their respective department head. During the World War I to end of the Cold War, Denmark collected both domestic and international intelligence. On the international front, Denmark doesn't conduct any significant form of covert action. However, we do see them collect information and conduct secret SIGINT and human operations. Domestically, Denmark has been caught spying on its own citizens. We also see Denmark experience their fair share of intelligence leaks as well. Denmark's intelligence groups have provided generally reliable products, being a reliable source of intelligence to other countries such as their neighboring Scandinavian countries. Denmark is a part of the Scandinavian Triangle source, in which they entrust with each other with intel surrounding their countries and others. The major threats that could possibly end up impacting Denmark are the melting in the Arctic, which its melting could lead to competition between nations, specifically Russia, China, and the US to build information stations. This could have an impact on Denmark. We also see the build-up of the Russian military potentially impact Denmark, as there has been an uptick in tensions following the invasion of Ukraine. Terrorism is also a major threat to Denmark, as we have seen instances of terrorism hit the country. Concerns about increased terrorism have led to an emphasis on counter-terrorism efforts from the intelligence community. Counter-terrorism became important following instances such as the Madrid train bombing in 2004 and the London train bombings in 2005, with several terrorism-related arrests in Denmark since 2005. We have seen the Danish approach focuses on preventing and countering all types of violent extremism and involves a systemized multi-agency collaboration including the intelligence and security services, the police, the educational system, and other aspects of Danish society. Despite these efforts, in February 2015, Denmark experienced their first terrorist attack, as Omar Abdelhamid El-Hussein, who had recently been released from jail, killed 2 citizens and injured 6 police officers at a cultural center and synagogue in Copenhagen. Police officers in the prison and probation service have previously warned PET about his potential radicalization. As a result, place scrutiny on the intelligence services and the system as a whole, leading to the strengthening of existing structures and increased funding to the two Danish intelligence services' more traditional efforts towards counter-terrorism like surveillance and analyses. We have seen scandals hit the intelligence services in Denmark as well, as the FE's former chief Lars Feinsson is being charged with leaking highly classified information. Feinsson, along with 3 others, were arrested and charged with disclosing highly classified information from the intelligence services. However, these are not the only scandals that the FE has been involved in. In August 2020, Feinsson was suspended as chief along with 2 colleagues amid allegations that FE had withheld information on its operations from officials tasked with overseeing the agency. Then in May last year, FE featured heavily in media reports which claimed the FE had aided in the US efforts to spy on European leaders, such as Germany. The reports drew angry rebukes from Danish allies in Europe, including Germany and neighbouring Sweden. The Danish Intelligence Oversight Board, also known as TET, oversees the data collection and practices of both PET and FE. In a 2017 report, the FE was accused of violating data protection rules. The FE's utilisation of SIGINT in order to collect information on a large section of the Danish population. There were some searches of SIGINT data conducted as well that were unlawful, and either didn't have any court order or didn't respect the limitations provided by court orders. This has impacted the trust between the intelligence services and the Danish citizens. Denmark is good at collecting intelligence through its use of SIGINT, whether that was for counter-terrorism or other purposes. Denmark does struggle somewhat with analysing those since they have been attacked within the country. However, we are to believe that they have improved since then as they use the entire social system to rapidly process information. On the covert action front, we have seen most of this being reduced to spying and gathering information on other countries. However, they ended up getting caught through leaks, which has led to backlash from the international community. Danish intelligence leaks have also damaged the relationship with society alongside the reports of illegal spying on Danish citizens. Opportunities for collaboration with the US as both them and Denmark are concerned about Russian aggression. The US and Denmark would want a good relationship to assess any threat Russia may pose. China and Russia are also pushing for development within the Arctic region. Denmark could collaborate with the US for passageways and opportunities for information stations in these areas, which could be helpful. We have seen Denmark deal with leaks in the past and present day. Since the US greatly values covert operations, this can pose a problem since any potential operations and collaborations between the two could be leaked.